Dear learners, welcome you to the lesson of week 6. In this week, you will learn Ben Jonson's Volpone. Me, Faisal Ahmed, with you throughout this lecture. Let's begin. In this week, you will learn the paraphrase of Act 1 and Act 2 of Volpone by Ben Jonson, a Restoration English dramatist. So in the paraphrase, you will learn the summary and then the analysis of Act 1 and Act 2. Act by act and scene by scene we'll discuss. Lesson 1. Paraphrase of Act 1. First, summary and then analysis. Act 1, Scene 1. Shortly after waking up in his large bed, Volpone, the major character, the protagonist of this play, Volpone. This play is named by this major character's name, Volpone. So Volpone greets both the day and his gold, fortune. In his opening soliloquy, he proclaims that gold is his soul as well as the soul of the world. He declares that he is happier to see his gold than the earth is to see the spring sun at the end of winter. He asks to kiss his treasure, his jewels, valuables and golds, silvers. These are his treasures. So he asks to kiss his treasures and insists that the age of gold must have been the greatest in history to be so named. Gold, he says, brings more happiness than friends or family and has the looks of Venus, the love of 20,000 cubits. It cannot speak or act for itself, but gold, which Volpone calls a saint, even he worships gold, a treasure, as if gold were his god. Gold heart is saint, something like that, sacred. So overall he prioritized gold, or his treasure, his wealth. It makes man speak, and the gold makes man speak and act on its behalf. Mosca, the parasite of Volpone, his assistant as well, and very cunning and shrewd, finishes his thought by saying that it is better to be rich than wise. Always flatter Volpone, and he always try to keep Volpone happy, interrupt in between his conversation, and always accompanies Volpone. And Volpone is his master. Act 1, Scene 2. Summary continues. Nano, a dwarf, and Regino, a hermaphrodite or bisexual, and Castrone, a eunuch. The three unusual characters who entertain Volpone, their master, enter and introduce their skit, a parody or a written comedy which follows the soul of Pythagoras. These three characters are very unusual that I have already mentioned, and they describe a written parody or comedy which follows the soul of Pythagoras, an ancient Greek philosopher and mathematician, during its transmigration or passage from one body to another. This is like in Hinduism, like our body gets 7 lives in this world, and there is a religious belief people live 7 lives. They die again, they live again, they die again, they live, and they come to this world in different forms. In one life they come in human form, in another life they come in animal form, or in another life they come in other objects, in the form of objects or something like that. This type of beliefs. So Nano, Androgino and Castrone try to tell that they came to this world beforehand in various forms. Even they came to this world in the form of Pythagoras, or in the soul of Pythagoras. And now, in the restoration era, they have come to this world in the form of their unusual ones, that is dwarf, hermaphrodite, or bisexual, or eunuch. In these forms are fools, in fact. And these characters we find in this scene to entertain Volpone, their masters. In a final comical twist, the soul of Pythagoras at last transmigrates into the body of Androgino, who indicates that the fool is the form he would prefer to take in his next transmigration, because the fool is the one creature that can call blessed. Act 1, Scene 2 and Act 5, Scene 7. After he takes credit for the skit, a parody, Musk breaks into a song which praises fools for the joy they bring to others through their willingness to speak and act freely. When a knock comes at the door, Nano, Androgino and Castrone shoot away so that Mosca and Volpone can make preparations for Voltore, their first client. Now we'll go to the next scene, Scene 3 of Act 1. In this scene, we will find Voltore, the first client of Volpone and Mosca as well. So Volpone brings an antique plate, and very valuable antique plate, to Volpone and feigns sympathy by saying, "Would to heaven I could as well give health to you as that plate." Act 1, Scene 3. Page 20. While Volpone pretends to be on the verge of death, Mosca tells Voltore that he has been named Volpone's soul heir. Mosca asks that he be included in Voltore's will in exchange for his advocacy on Voltore's behalf. No sooner does Voltore leave than Carvaccio, the next legacy hunter, comes to the doors, and Volpone and Mosca's next client, Carvaccio. Act 1, Scene 4. Carvaccio, a feeble, nearly deaf old man, offers Volpone an opiate or opium to help with his sleep troubles. Sleeping pills, something like that. Mosca declines it for fear that it is poison, telling Carvaccio that Volpone doesn't trust doctors and doesn't believe in medicine. Carvaccio asks about Volpone's apoplexy, and Mosca rattles off a list of ghastly symptoms. With each symptom that Mosca names, Carvaccio responds by saying good. Act 1, Scene 4, page 41. Ultimately, Carvaccio expresses satisfaction that he will outlive Volpone and will be successful to inherit all Volpone's property and wealth. When Mosca tells Carvaccio that Volpone's will has not yet been written, Carvaccio presents Volpone with a bag of gold coins. Just like a present, or we can say bribe. Mosca then assures Carvaccio that he will be Volpone's heirs. So in this tricky way, Mosca and Volpone collect wealth from their clients by showing them, by speaking of greed, of wealth and property to them. Promising of giving inheritance to wealth and property to their clients. They gather gold and other valuables from their clients in a very tricky way and very shrewdly. Mosca instructs Carvaccio to rewrite his own will so as to name Volpone, not his son Bonario, as his heir. As Carvaccio is leaving, Mosca makes several snide remarks while Carvaccio cannot hear. Volpone showers Mosca with praise for his conniving and scoffs at Corbusio's old age, saying what a rare punishment is avarice to itself. Avarice is greed, yeah? So for greed, sometimes people disinherit their own siblings, own son or daughters. Corbusio is something like that. Act 1, Scene 5. Corvina enters Volpone's house bearing a pearl and a diamond. Mosca informs him that Volpone is as good as dead. Volpone does not speak and, according to Mosca, cannot hear. So Mosca tells Corvino to place the diamond in Volpone's hand in order to make him understand. Mosca tells Corvino that he is Volpone's heir, and Corvino hugs Mosca. When Corvino leaves, Lady would-be politic comes to the door, but Volpone asks Mosca to have her return in 3 hours when he will be drunk. Mosca then describes at length the beauty of Corvino's wife. When Mosca says she is bright as your gold and lovely as your gold, Volpone decides he must see her. They agree to go to her heavily guarded household in disguise. So that's the end of the summary of Act 1. Now Act 1 analysis. Volpone's opening soliloquy sets the moral tone of the play. That he wakes up and says good morning to his gold suggests that Volpone is utterly consumed by greed. After greed, he moves on to blasphemy, calling his gold saint. In this first scene of the play, the audience is also introduced to the second central character, Mosca, who embodies the themes of animalization and parasitism. Mosca is seen flitting around Volpone, finishing his sentences and interrupting him with flattery. Act 1, Scene 2 analysis. Scene 2 marks the first appearance of Nano, Castrone and Androgino, the 3 unusual characters. Dwarf, bisexual, and castrated one, eunuch. Like Volpone and Mosca, they're all appropriately named. Nano, the dwarf's name, means small. Castrone, the eunuch's name, has the same root as the word castrate. And Androgino, the hermaphrodite's name, has the same root as the word androgynous. The skit also, parody, and the play Volpone itself is a satire or a skit or parody, also epitomizes the theme of metatheatricality. The performance of Nano, Castrone and Androgino is a play within a play. This play within the play is to Volpone what Volpone is to us. That is, the character Volpone is the audience for the skit, just as we are the audience for the play Volpone by Ben Jonson. Act 1, Scene 3, 4 and 5 analysis. In these 3 scenes, the theme of parasitism, the parasite, Porgata, predominates. Here Mosca is referred. Earlier, Jonson introduced Mosca as the foremost parasite in the play. However, the characters Voltaire, Corbusio and Corvino, the 3 legacy hunters, the greedy people who lose everything for the greed of achieving all the property and wealth of Volpone, who assumed to be old man, but in fact he is young and well. However, the characters Voltaire, Corbusio and Corvino can all be considered Mosca's foils. In hoping to feed off Volpone's fortune, the 2 are like the flies that hover around the dead body. And fittingly, they are all named for carrion birds. In Italian, Voltaire means vulture, Corbusio means raven, and Corvino means crow. just like Volpone means fox and Mosca means fly, machi. Act 2, Scene 2 and 3 is summary. While discussing the death of Master Stone, a clown who Sir Politic believed to be a spy, Sir Politic and Peregrine are interrupted by the entrance of Mosca and Nano in disguise, who begin to set up a mountebank's platform. Upon his platform, Volpone clears the name of Scotto and advertises his oil, Oglio del Scotto, as an elixir. I mean a touchstone which will help someone to cure from any disease or go back to the young age from old age. Ironically, while doing so, Volpone notes that gold is powerless to heal bodily afflictions like colds, and that good health is priceless. He also claims that he despises money. After pretending to offer his elixir at a discount, he asked for a handkerchief as a favor from a member of the audience. Corbino's wife Celia, who had been watching from her window above, tosses her handkerchief down to Volpone. Volpone tells her he will repay her with a magic powder. Corbin enters the public square and furiously breaks up the mountebank demonstration. Mountebank hawker বা ক্যানভাসারের মতো অনেকটা. Act 2, Scene 4. Back at Volpone's house, Volpone swoons over Celia. Swoons, মূর্ছা যাওয়া কারো সৌন্দর্য, কোনো মেয়ের সৌন্দর্য. Volpone tells Mosca to use his fortune in whatever way he needs in order to win Celia. Volpone admits that he never truly intended Corbino to be his heir, but that he intends to cuckold him. Volpone worries that his disguise was not good enough and that he will be discovered by the color of his beard and eyebrows. Mosca reassures him and makes a passing comment about wishing he could follow in Volpone's footsteps and yet escape his epilogue. Act 2, Scene 4, page 34. Act 2, Scene 5. In his house, Corbino reprimands Celia for flirting with a lowly mountebank in public. He brandishes his sword, threatening to stab her with it. He becomes fixated on the idea that Celia will now begin a secret love affair with the mountebank. Celia protests that she never even leaves her room except to go to church. Corbino vows to cover up the window and forbid her from even going within 3 years of it. A knock comes at the door and he tells her that if she interferes with his business, he will cut her into pieces. So Corbino is a jealous husband and he has suspicion about her wife's attitude or motive. Act 2, Scene 6 and 7. Corbino believes that Mosca's appearance at his door means that Volpone has died. However, Mosca tells Corbino that Volpone has made a miraculous recovery by taking the Oglio del Scotto, the miraculous oil, which cured him, and all things are lies and cheating. Now, says Mosca, the doctors have recommended that Volpone sleep with the women in order to keep his health. Corbino recommends a prostitute, but Mosca says he does not trust them. Mosca then claims that Lupo, a doctor, offered Volpone his virgin daughter. Taking this as a sign of competition for Volpone's inheritance, Corbino offers up his wife. though Mosca fabricated this story of Dr. Lupo. But Corbin believed it, and instantly he offered up his wife. Mosca tells Corbin that he is certain to be Volpone's head, and that during Volpone's next seizure, Mosca might pull the pillow from behind his head and let him die. Corbin, convinced that Celia must sleep with Volpone in order to secure his inheritance, tries to patch things up with Celia. He tells Celia that he didn't mean the things he said. He tells her he is not jealous and that he will show it to her if she comes with him to a feast at Volpone's. Act 2 analysis. Act 2 Scene 1. So the summary just is finished. Now we will analyze Act 2. The roles of Sir Polydectes and Peregrine are more subtle than the roles of any other characters. In Volpone, although Sir Polydectes' wife is directly involved in the action, Sir Polydectes himself is more of a bystander. In fact, it is as a bystander that we are introduced to him at the beginning of Act 2. The subplot involving Sir Polydectes and Peregrine comes close to violating Aristotle's unity of action, but seems to underscore the theme of vengeance in the play. Act 2 Scene 1. Analysis continues. In addition, the fact that Sir Polydectes and Peregrine are from England signifies that Jonson did not intend to exempt his home country from criticism. I mean, he criticized his own land as well and own countrymen as well. As Jonas Barish, a critic, has pointed out, the presence of Sir Polydectes, Lady Would-be, and Peregrine is most likely intended as a connection between the Italian state and the English state. In Volpone, Barish points out Venice is a looking glass for England, whereby that country is warned to heed the lesson of the Italian state, lest its own follies turn to vices and destroy it. Moreover, the animalization theme continues in the characters of Sir Polydectes and Peregrine as well. Paul, the shortened form of Polydectes' name, means parrot, a bird, and sums up perfectly the hollow garrulousness shared by him and his wife. I mean, they are just chatterbox and discuss on silly things and just waste their time. English people are like that during the Restoration period. Peregrine, whose name means falcon, a very big bird like eagle, is named for his shrewdness. Not surprisingly, Peregrine is the one who sees through the mountebank's scam, while Sir Polydectes is utterly fooled by it. Act 2 Scene 2 and 3. Volpone's speech is an example of dramatic irony. Only we, the audience, know that the mountebank is not a Scoto of Mantua, but rather Volpone in disguise. The handkerchief which Celia gives to Volpone is a classic Elizabethan symbol of affection and intimacy, a sign of love. Considering that in Jonson's era, the exchange of a handkerchief was seen as a flirtatious flirting activity, Corbin's furious reaction is historically understandable, though the extent of his jealousy will certainly disgust a modern reader. In Shakespeare's Othello, Othello reacts similarly when he suspects that Desdemona has given her handkerchief away to another man. Act 2 Scene 4. In this scene, it becomes clear that Mosca has done well to expose Volpone's weakness. Before he heard of Celia, Volpone was obsessively protective of his gold. Now that he has seen her for himself, he is willing to give Mosca any amount of gold in order to bring Celia to him. In fact, he is more lustrous than greedy. He does just that, for as a belated consequence of bringing Celia to his house, Volpone is tricked out of his fortune by Mosca. Considering these twists of fate which we, the audience, are aware of, Mosca's comment about escaping Volpone's epilogue appears even more ominous. Act 2, Scene 5, Analysis. Much has been written on Corbin as the embodiment of jealousy. He is suspicious regarding his wife's character. Clearly, his overreaction to the handkerchief incident provides a good example of how poisonous jealousy is. Exposing Corbin's jealousy as a vice is certainly one of Jonson's intentions in writing this didactic play. But Corbin was more greedy than jealous, as he offered his own wife for Volpone, only for the greed of Volpone's inheritance. Act 2, Scene 6 and 7, Analysis. Here Mosca's conniving is at its most subtle. Once again, he manipulates a character into action not by ordering him, but rather by preying on his weakness, as all good parasites are wont to do. By fabricating a story about a Dr. Lupo, meaning wolf, offering his daughter to Volpone, Mosca convinces Corbin to give Celia to Volpone, and we, the audience, realize how effective Mosca's manipulation techniques must be. Mosca thus emerges in the play as an interpreter of these corrupt men's inmost desires, even though they vociferously declare greed and jealousy to be their respective defining vices. Mosca understands that Volpone's overriding vice is lust, not greed, and that Corbin's is greed, not jealousy. Mosca seems to know these warped men better than they know themselves, and plays them accordingly. That's the end of the lesson of week 6. Thank you for being with me.